Hey guys, how's it going this evening? Mike here again, and tonight I want to change things up just a little bit. So instead of me printing something for a friend of mine, what I want to do is, with your help, let's try to figure out something small to print so we can fully test the printer, and maybe, well, hopefully we can go to the end of the stream and have it ready by then. We'll see how that goes. And while we get that printing, why don't we talk about negativity bias? So, let's get this started. Alright, we'll start off by looking at the computer screen here, and we're on Thingiverse. So this website here is amazing for all the STL files that we need to print something without modeling it ourselves. So everything that's on this website is free to use. Anybody with a 3D printer can just download a file, use it, print stuff. The only thing is that you're not supposed to anyways to sell stuff that you get from here unless you create it yourself, put it on a website. There's this creative license that we can't just print off anything we want, which, you know what, that's a fair thing. People worked hard on this stuff just to give it for free. They don't want other people making money from it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna sort through a few of the things here. I already found two that could be fun to print, but if anybody has anything at any point that they see that they'd like to print, just let me know. Don't forget to change my title. What is my title right now on YouTube? Let me go check that out. I'm still not too good at this stuff, it seems. If anybody knows how to help me out with this sort of thing, I'd always appreciate some input from you guys, because streaming for me is still a new thing. This is stream number 8. So motivation. Oh, I don't know why it's still talking about motivation on YouTube. Let's figure out how to change that, shall we? Before we look into 3D prints. In the meantime, if you want, you can always go check on Thingiverse. And if you find something that's interesting to you, let me know. So right now we're on using Restream. Let's see if we can update the titles. I guess not. So you're gonna have to excuse me for just 1 second. I'm gonna stop the stream, update the titles, start right back. Should take about 15 seconds or so. Alright, hopefully I'm back now. It says that I'm online on YouTube and the titles just don't want to update. So I guess I'm doing something wrong somewhere. For some reason, nothing's working out the way I want on this thing. I'm using Restream, which is an application that helps me stream to both Twitch and YouTube at the same time. What do we have here? We're in the right categories where everything seems to go proper. Click on Twitch. Alright, let's just find the right button to press. Creator dashboard. Manage stream. Lots of buttons to press on while streaming. Edit stream info. Finally found it. I got Twitch done, so that's a start. Who else is online right now? Do I have a few people here? I'm not sure. Like I was saying earlier, right now, as per usual, my skills with streaming are not the best. So I made some mistakes and forgot to change the title somehow. The app that I'm using called Restream did not update anything. so I have to do it manually, and streaming is, since it's still new to me, I'm not sure about everything that I'm doing, I'll be honest. So if I look at my, I guess my channel from YouTube, and I go to, no, this is working. I have no clue how YouTube works. That doesn't help me. Edit video maybe? Video details, there you go, I found it. And negativity. And save. There you go, now everything's updated. So due to me not knowing everything about streaming, well, I made some mistakes. Mistakes happen, they're natural. Let's not worry too much about it. So let's go back to where we were at, looking for something fun to print. So I looked at this little baby dragon called Boris. I tried just looking at it. Seems like a small file would be a good start. Or we could go with Fred the Frog. A frog with a nice hat. It's still a small print. We could always try that. And like I said, we're going to start with something small. Work our way up. And the more we go, the more we print. We could get something bigger at one point. And like I said, the more support I get on this channel, the more chances you have of actually getting something that you might want. I have no issues with printing something and sending it to one of my followers at one point. The only thing I need is you guys to actually go in one of the channels that you're watching from and click that follow button, that little notification, and we'll go from there. So between those two little figurines, we have those, and now I'm looking for one more. If anybody has something that they see while I'm scrolling through it, or maybe you can be scrolling on Thingiverse yourself, and if you find something, let me know. We have a little hedgehog here. We could look at that. What else do we have available? There's lots of stuff. There's millions of files on this one, and I just went with what's been popular in the past 7 days. So as you can see, there is a lot of stuff. Anybody can just create a file, put it on there. It's free for you to use. It's just, you're not authorized to sell anything that you print off. So when I say that, you know, maybe one day I could send something to somebody, that's what I mean. We can go on this website, find an STL file, look at it, print it out, and then once it's printed, I could just send it out to anybody that wants it. For now, we're just looking at a small figurine. We don't want something that's going to take 4 days to print. We want something that's going to print in half an hour, 45 minutes. So, what do we have? We have cars, trucks. Those are not what I intended to print, but if anybody wants it, let me know. Alright, so we're about at the end of the 7 days here, the most popular things in the past 7 days. Once I finish page 33, we'll be at the end. Oh, there's still more. So what do we have then? What do we have? Well, you know what? We have enough here. So a choice between the hedgehog, the baby dragon, or Fred the Frog. I kind of want Fred the Frog, to be honest with you, and since we're just at the start of the stream, let me just grab this file, import it into Cura so we can slice it, and then place it in the printer, and we'll start this print for tonight. This should be a relatively small print, but we don't know until we put it in the slicer. So now I'm putting an SD card in my SD card reader. I downloaded it, grab Cura. Let's make this page bigger. Alright, So now that we have this, let's put our frog in Cura. Now it's loaded. So we can see the frog is loaded, not too small, not too big. There are some areas where there's some free space there. But what we're gonna do, we're gonna try tonight to just print like this without any support. So supports are usually what would go underneath the hat to make it nice and smooth. I want to try without it because the angle here seems decent enough. It seems pretty angular for sure, but I think my printer should be able to handle it. So we click the slice button, we let it do its thing, and there you go. Should take about 30 minutes to print. Now will it work well, will it not? I don't know. That's the fun part. You get to find out. So once we're here, place the SD card back into the motherboard of the printer, get to the printer, print media, and what's the name of the file? The file is named spectacular stainless. There you go, and we hit print. So now the printer is heating up. It's doing its own thing. We got nothing else to do except now we can talk. And Liquid Sloth, how's it going, my friend? Tonight, like I was saying earlier, we're just printing a fun little figurine here. But I want to take that time that the printer does its job to actually talk about something that could be useful to a lot of people, including myself. And all the discussions that I hold on this channel is about things that help me. And when I talk about it to people in general, whether it's here on the stream or in real life, well, the stream is real life, but what I mean by real life is face-to-face, without the camera and the screen to connect. But if I talk to you either way, these sorts of discussions actually help me figuring things out. And tonight I'm talking about negativity bias. So what is negativity bias, you may ask? Well, it's our tendency to remember the negative stimuli that we have, and also like how we dwell on these things. Every little bad thing that happens to us in our lives, we tend to like focus on these things. We feel that sting of negativity a lot more than we feel the joy of everything positive, right? So if we take as example, I don't know, what could I take as an example? Let's go for the stream itself. So I'm streaming here, positivity. I've received some messages about people that like want to join the stream and want to talk and hold these types of discussions, and I've been told that it actually helps them. So that's all good. And there you go. Killian just doing his making fun in the back there. Let him do his thing. But if we focus on the negative of things that happen, so negatively, the stream is not going as big as I want in the speed that I want it to go. If we use that as an example, I could focus on purely the number of people watching, or I could switch to a different type of thinking where it's, you know what, I've helped at least one person because I've received a text, a message from somebody saying that you know, these streams help them. So why would I focus on the negative part when I've helped one person? But that's how our brains work, right? We focus on the bad things. So there's been research on that, and there's a lot of research about how bad things influence us, right? So they've looked at it in those machines that actually light up images of your brain and all that. I word what you're saying, as above, so below, as in the heavens, so it is on earth. As it is in my mind, so it is in reality. If I think good thoughts all day, I manifest good things all day. If I think bad thoughts all day, I manifest bad things all day. That is a good portion of it. Yes, that... I apologize for my bad reading of words, but yes, that is actually true. Whether we're talking in a spiritual sense or in a scientific sense, excuse me. I was choking myself there. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Perception is everything. You control the filter. Yes. So we look at how we see things. But why is that a thing, right? With all the research that they've done, lighting up the brain to see how our brains react to positive, negative, or neutral things, the scientists that have done the research have seen that the brain lights up more when we see or perceive negative thoughts. So why would that be? If you have an idea, you can put it in the stream there. I'm just gonna see what Killian wants there. What is it, buddy?
Nothing.
You just want to be on the stream?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's all good. I just wanted to know if you needed something.
I needed your pants.
But yes, now we talk about the research why negative things are more present in our minds, right? So they've theorized that when we start focusing on, I might have an answer there. If we are thinking negative, it's most likely for some sort of security purpose, which would be a survival mode, which is probably why the brain lights up more, because it wants to survive. And yes, that is actually what they theorize it is. That's what I believe as well. Every decision that we make is based off of risk analysis. So if you perceive something to be a risk, you're less likely to do that action. And you're going to live your life with analyzing the risk of an action. Right? So let's say, I don't know, last time I went for a bike ride, I fell and I broke my leg. Well, my mind now is going to go for, well, last time you went on a bike, you broke your leg. So you tend to not want to go again. So that's why the research also pushes people to say, well, yeah, I might have broken my leg, but I'm jumping right back on it. I'll be nervous at first, and I'll fight through it. And then you manage to go past that fear. But now you got to train your brain to go against that one event, even though you've been going at it for years, right? So the issue is when we get rid of all the risks, we get too comfortable. And when we get too comfortable, we stop moving, we stop growing, and we get stuck in a loop of repetitiveness. That's true. The other thing, when we get too comfortable, we also forget about risks. And there's a good example of somebody that was using one of those curl suits, you know, that you jump off a side of a cliff or a plane or something like that. You extend those wings or those whatever gliders that they call, and you can fly down for a lot longer. But the guy was using it as a, like, I'm invincible type of mentality. And he went down to the side of the mountain, and there was a rock cleft like that, and he flew, I'll go this way, he flew too close to the side, and actually both his legs hit it. So he shattered both his legs. And then when that happened, like, he tumbled and barely survived. He pulled his chute, landed, got stuck there because he couldn't move anymore. His way of seeing it was, I got too comfortable. I was not afraid anymore. And he lost that fear. So when you don't go with the fears that you've learned about or that you've seen, you tend to be more, you tend to push yourself more to do things without thinking about it, or you fall into the repetitiveness of life. There is balance as with all things. Exactly. You got to balance everything out. That is going on in your life, right? So if I get stressed at work because of, I don't know, let's say my boss yells at me a lot for some reason. That's not true. My boss has not yelled at me. But it could be a thing, right? So if my boss were to yell at me all the time, and it is a negative thing, right? It's not usually positive to get yelled at. Well, now my mind will assimilate the fact that boss means I get yelled at. So I'll get nervous about talking with him. And as I talked on previous streams that, you know, anxiety is an issue that I have that I work through every day. Well, that might be an issue because I've perceived something somewhere where my superiors were not nice with me for years and years and years. And now I'm thinking when I'm going to go see my superiors, they're not going to be nice with me. But that's not true. If I look back at my career and where I've worked for the past 6-7 years, my chain of command has been actually really good with me. They've done what they could to help me out. There's been less negative than positive, but my brain goes back to, yeah, but a year before that, you had people that hated you. So, our brains focus on this and just tries to protect us. But now that becomes an issue in situations like these, right? I went from a place where I felt disrespected, unwanted, and all these things to a place that actually tries to help me out, and I'm still stuck in that little moment of, well, these people don't like you. So that's an issue. So that in turn changes the motivation I have for work. While it's no use to keep working, I'm gonna get yelled at anyways. That's the type of mentality you start to develop. And I'm not saying that for everybody. Some people manage to balance that out properly right away and fix it, and that's no longer an issue. So they just carry on with their life. Something bad happens and they focus on, well, there's a lot of good things happen. Good example would be a very good one that I have. It's a minor thing, right? But when we got married, as an example, when my wife and I got married, we go to the wedding, and well, the wedding got delayed a little bit. So I could have focused on she was late. Well, maybe something's wrong, or we're late, this is a whole mess, and things like that. Or we could just go with, this is funny. And I remember the pastor, first thing he said to me when that happened, well, maybe like half an hour, 45 minutes later, he's like, yep, this is a traditional Dago wedding. Somebody's late. So why just not laugh about it, right? It wasn't a big deal. It's our wedding, people were nervous, we had people from out of town that didn't know where to go, we were missing things and stuff like that. We wanted an easy, cheap wedding where we prepared everything. Of course we're gonna make mistakes. Is it the end of the world? No. All we can do is laugh about it, and I still laugh about it today. Everything is a tragedy or a comedy. I think Shakespeare said that. I'll be honest with you, I really don't know that quote, but that is the thing, right? You can review everything as either tragedy or comedy, everything good or bad. You can view it both ways, so it depends on the perception you're going to get of these things. So my wedding, as an example, I could have perceived it as, well, she was late, it's a bad omen, it's this, it's that, and just focus on the negative stuff. Why would I do that though? There's no purpose in me doing that except hurting myself, because now it's going to be, well, if she was late to this, what is she going to be late to, and make a big deal out of it. Or I could just go like, that's funny, she's late to her own wedding. There you go, problem solved. And then we laughed about it, we had our dance, we did the whole holding hands, giving rings, kiss, and all that. Everything went well. Why would I focus on that? But I made the conscious decision not to focus on it. But if I focus on, let's go back somewhere else in my life. I broke pretty much all the bones in my body, but when I got my spinal injury, I focused on the negative for years. It took me years, and I still struggle with it today because I suffer from it every single day, where I think about what could I have done differently for that not to happen, right? I think about, well, if I would have went down the steps a different way, or if I would have just taken my time instead, or this or that, and now my mind goes into a spiral of, man, I suck. Everything is bad, everything is terrible. I wish this never happened, and I get stuck in that mentality of everything is terrible. Well, instead of doing that, a few months ago I went with, yeah, I did that, but now I'm one of the highest qualified people of the rank I hold. So with the smallest rank, I have this accomplishment of having qualifications that nobody else had at my level. Not just qualifications, but experience, right? So past thinking is depression. Future thinking is anxiety. The only way to cure is to think or be in the now. That is a big thing, and my sister's a big believer in that for sure, where living in the now is very important. And I agree with her. I like to dream about the future for sure. I'm a dreamer. I dream about the future without making full plans. So one day I want to live on a boat. So I said to myself and my family that, 2 years from now, we're going to live on a boat. But while thinking about that, I went with, well, maybe not 2 years, but 2 years from now, we'll have a decision to make about how we need to modify our lives and our finances and things like that. Where if we want to make this happen and we're still at that point where we want to do it, these are the last changes we got to do. So now we already started, well, on my end, I started looking at what I can start changing in my life. And one of the things is changing my own mentality of a lot of different things. So I started reading upon all these little things about the nature versus nurture, anxiety, and all these mental health related things, because my head is not in a good space all the time. So I need to understand it, because if I want to live on a boat and go across the ocean, I need to be able to handle my brain. Right there, too much of it, there's always a balance. There are some people who think too much of the future and never make action towards it. And that's a thing as well. So, dreaming is important. Looking to the future is important to a certain extent. Not, well, when in 10 years from now I'll have a big house, 5 cars, and whatever. Well, you can't predict that. You can try to work towards it, and if you achieve that goal, good. But maybe look in a broader sense. In 10 years from now, I want to own a new car and a house. Now you got to look at the steps you got to take from the point you are to now. How much difference do you need to make in your life to get to that point? If you focus on only, well, right now I don't make enough, I don't do this, I don't do that, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, this is boring, are you really going to achieve your goal? Right? So give me a minute. You can keep answering in the chat there. Don't be afraid to talk between each other and things like that. I'll just take a look at the printer, see how this is going, and I'll even do this for you guys. Alright, so the print is not looking as good as I want it to look, but that's not a big deal. I could focus on it's terrible, stop it, whatever. Or I could just go with what I want to do, and what I will do is let it go. I might make one small modification here to how fast the printer goes. So slow it down a little bit. And let it give it a bit more material to extrude, because I have some under extrusion, and there you go. Now I'm just going to let it go. We'll see where that goes. If it works, good. If it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Like everything in life, you make a mistake or something happens, we can't dwell on the negative. If we start doing that, nothing's ever going to happen. Because now we get stuck in this way of thinking of everything's bad. But now if we think about the science that's been done, our brains are more likely to perceive bad news as truthful, because that's how we understand things. So somebody comes up to you and says, well, somebody crashed your car. Okay, well, I don't see my car now, and somebody just told me to crash my car. Well, my car's gone. Well, it turns out it was the neighbor's car, but he just didn't know, right? So with your channel name, I just want to mention something a philosopher that said that stuck with me. He said that if you could dream any dream you want and actually live it out 80 years at night while sleeping, you would probably dream of everything you would have ever wanted, all the luxuries and etc. But the next night you wouldn't want the same dream, or at least a week later of repeating it, you wouldn't. So the next dream you would probably want a surprise, but then 100 dreams later you would probably dream the life you have right now. And that's a big thing. Yes, dreaming of something over and just living the same thing over and over again does get boring and tiresome at one point. As human beings, we need change in our lives. We can't have a perfect routine. Routines are good. I'm not saying they're bad. But Groundhog Day, even the guy from Groundhog Day, Bill Murray, when he did that movie, the character changed his life. Yeah, he tried everything, and then at one point he just knew the full story, and we don't even know if he kept playing it or not. I'm not sure. But that's the thing, right? You cannot live the same day over and over and over again, because the human body is not meant for that. So we need, yes, to dream, manage our expectations, which was the title of one of my other streams, and try to push through our fears. So I'm dreaming the life of sailing on a boat. I could dream of sailing on a boat, but with the limited experience and exposure to the world that I have, I'd probably have the same dream. And then I'd get tired of it and go like, if I were only to dream about it, I mean, probably a few years from now, not even, a few days from now, I'd be like, I don't want to live on a boat. Right? So my dreams are not boat. My dreams are still regular dreams when I sleep, and during the day I think about those little things that I can change. What can I change for this to happen? So now I started streaming because I want to talk about how maybe I can help people through talking about things. So I can help myself in the end, where, you know, if I understand the point of view for somebody else in these mental health situations, how can that not help me? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Sorry, I had to sing it. You wrote it down. I'm gonna sing it. I'm not gonna do that every time. But no, that's like negativity bias is a big thing in our lives. So it even affects the politics. If you look at the psychological response to in politics, where the conservatives are more prone to go towards tradition and security, whereas the liberals, they go more with like, let's do whatever and try something new. That's the whole thing, right? They negativity bias actually changed something for politics. It's not the perfect answer. I know some people that will vote conservative, some people that will vote liberal that are still terrified of everything or scared of nothing. It's not the only thing, but it does affect it. So, where has negativity bias affected you? So I'm asking you in the chat if you do think about something. Like I'll give some of the some examples that I've seen from work myself. So this person at work, they got a end of year review saying that, hey, you did amazing at this, you were pretty good at that, all these positive points. And then we got to the points of points to improve. Points to improve is not necessarily a bad thing, because nobody's perfect. You can always improve. So get to these points, talk about it for a bit, and that person stayed stuck with, I can't believe that was written on my file. Like, I did the best I could in this and that. And for about 2-3 days, that person was focused on the negative. Whereas the other person after him just went with, yeah, whatever's there is there. And I read through it, and, oh, you actually talked about this challenge that I completed. Well, yes, because it's a good thing. You completed something good. It's worth mentioning. And that person focused on the positive. The negative points, which were just points to improve, just went like, yeah, I gotta work on that, I acknowledge it, carry on. We can't stay stuck in the negative. Another example that I see all the time with a lot of different people is in a relationship. Right? The people have an argument, and then for hours on end afterwards they go, oh man, that person, like, oh, my wife this, or my husband that, and oh, lazy this, lazy that, whatever. Instead of going like, yeah, we didn't agree on this, or she wanted to go to the movies, I didn't feel like it, but then I got told that I never want to go, and all that sort of things. People always focus on the negative. Why don't you either focus on the neutral or the positive? It's not easy. I'm not saying I'll just switch your mind, it's like that. It takes a lot more than that. You need to actually work towards these things. Because I know for myself, I need to learn to control my anger a lot, and my want to look at the negative things. And that's a big thing. So if I look at these streams that, like, I do 3 times a week, I come downstairs, and every night, well, actually tonight is actually pretty good. I have enough people watching me, so thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. But I could go with, well, I have nobody watching me. That's, like, not worth it. I'm gonna stop. Or I could go with, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing it. If people come and hear something in 10 minutes and actually helps them, and then they switch to the next video, I did something good. And at the end of the day, I can always look at my videos myself and remember what I talked about. Because sometimes my brain just doesn't want to click on certain things and just goes back to thinking negatively. We talked about managing our expectations last week. And I was going through my mind about, oh, you know, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do this. And I was making this big deal out of this week's work. Turns out it wasn't that big. I needed to find some documents that I knew exactly where they were, but I was making a giant thing of it in my head. And I wasn't managing my expectations because I was looking at everything negatively. Oh, it's going to take time. I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to do this bad. And I lost sleep over it. Instead of just going like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know exactly where the files are. It might take half an hour. It might take an hour. So what? Time is time. I'm getting paid for it. Does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully it does. But yeah, if you have any examples that you're willing to share there, I'd love to hear those examples for sure, or anything else that you think might relate to the conversation we're having, or really anything. But we talked about where this might come from earlier as well, where how does negativity bias actually like get in our lives? So scientists actually looked into it and discovered that on average it starts happening from infants of the age of about 3 months all the way to 1 year old. That's the amount of time, well, when an infant starts having a negativity bias. And how they researched that was with, actually I can describe the test itself. What they did is they tested fear that way as well. They placed a rat in a child's face, not like shoved it in, but just like, here you go, buddy. They just went with a little rat and went like, here. Well, this is a spaceship, but works, right? Somebody just puts the rat there. Toddler goes like, it's a rat. But the next time they did that, they went, here's the rat, while banging on a huge like bell in the back. Scared the child. After a few times, the child, just their way of thinking about it was, or the infant, their brain just reacted to, if the rat is there, there's going to be a loud sound, something's going to happen. So the child just saw the rat and associated fear with seeing the rat. That did not persist. An infant doesn't retain the full thing for years afterwards. It diminishes over time. But that's how they tested it. So we can create our own fears by looking at our lives. And then Skylar up there, it's like our vacation. It could have ruined our stay at my sister's if we would have focused on what happened bad before getting there. And instead we left it and in the past and went with it, and we had a wonderful week. That's a perfect example. We were so mad when we went to my sister. Her place was far in the woods, up mountains, down mountains, pulling a fifth wheel. It was not fun getting there. I was so mad. My wife was mad. She lost sleep. Everything was going wrong. From maybe like 6 in the evening till midnight, everything just went wrong. Next morning, we woke up in the middle of the woods with all we heard was a dog barking, and we had a wonderful week. So we just didn't focus on what happened bad. We went forward. And then that week, I started the first night with, I'm never coming here ever again. To, yeah, maybe I'll go again. I'll do things differently. Where that's how much I'll let negativity bias affect me. Or try to get to that. Where, yeah, I didn't have a good time going there, so maybe if I change some things, going there during the day, taking the easier road, not pulling a fifth wheel, you know, all these things. So you can use it to your advantage to go towards your dreams. But you can't let it affect you in a negative way. Up there, defining things as negative or positive also greatly differentiates between people for different things. Some people could see masculinity as negative, as some see it as positive. And yes, it's on a personal level. Right? There's a lot of things that affect our thinking. So we think about positive, negative, differently. what I see from being hard and difficult and just pure impossible and all these things that I don't want to do, somebody else will see it completely different. A good example of that for myself is running is something that I hate. Every time I go for a run, it hurts. I don't go fast. I get out of breath. I get all sweaty, which, you know, I'm working out. Those things are normal. But to me, I associate running with bad. But then I know some people that go for like ultra marathons. What? My mind goes to why? What's running after you? Are you in danger? Are you okay? But no, they just go with I enjoy running. So negative and positive are very, very different things from one person to the next. And that's actually very, very true as a statement. And that's something we got to take into consideration as well when we're talking to people. Like, I'm here talking about all sorts of things that affect mental health. And we can't forget things like that. Different things affect different people differently. If I see something as positive, somebody else sees it as negative, I gotta take these things into consideration when I talk with somebody that's going through a rough time. And that's normal. It's not the end of the world, right? So there's another thing where I was reading up on this, where scientists actually believe that a portion of your genes actually have cell memory in some extent, where if somebody's always surrounded by something, the gene of that fear will be passed on to another. Now, I'm not a scientist myself. I just read some of the research, not all the research on it. But I think that kind of makes sense. You say muscle memory. So muscle memory, I think, well, the way I understand it is more on a private level. So for my muscles, my memories, they go together. But that could be a thing where if you learn to do something over and over and over again, and then you have a child, there's a good chance that your child will be good at that action because you've practiced it so much that your cells actually got passed on. Now, is it true, is it not? Like I said, I'm not a scientist. I just read some of the research on it. They have a theory that it is. And that would have helped us grow as human beings and evolve from where we were thousands of years ago to today. So surviving in the wild would have been very, very different at the start of it than today. Actually, today you'd bring most of the population in the wild, and a lot of us would die because our fear receptors are completely different than a few thousand years ago. So, the theory is that muscle memory gets passed on to one another, from a parent to a child. So, how can this affect you in your daily life? Well, we've been talking about that from the start. Negative bias will affect everything that you do, depending on how much you let it affect you and how you let it affect you. So if you just focus everything on that, everything's going to be harder. Right? You focus on, well, let's say, what could I say for that? Joining the military. Good example for myself there. When I was 16 years old, I applied for the military. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have to cut my hair, get orders, and then I just went with the full negative, I don't like authority. And then I still joined a few years later when I was 24 years old. So it took me that amount of time to just stop overthinking things where, well, they're going to judge me for this, and they're going to give me orders for that, and all sorts of things like that, where it wasn't that much of a big deal. But I was letting my mind just run with negativity. Now I'm in the military. I've been in for 10 years, or going on 10 years, and my mind does still have that negativity bias, but towards other things, and I'm trying to keep working on it. Right? If anybody has other examples, like, feel free to share. Let's talk about these things. And if anybody's new to the channel, by the way, yeah, what we do here is we print stuff, and as you can see, our little friendly frog here is getting there. And we talk about mental health related things or any other important subjects, and we try to get everybody's opinion on it. I find it extremely important to talk to people about these sorts of things because I find that there's no real discussions about these. I used to hold these discussions with a friend of mine. We'd spend hours discussing all sorts of subjects, and well, we worked together, so that was easy. But now he retired, so it's a lot harder to have a discussion with him when I'm at work for 8 to 16 to 28 hours, and he's retired at home just taking care of his chickens. When you pick a task like joining the military, you sacrifice everything else. Just like when you pick to do this Twitch stream, you sacrifice watching TV or hanging with your friends or anything and everything else you could have done. Some people can't sacrifice things like that. People have a drinking problem, can't sacrifice their drinking, so they can't accomplish many different tasks because of their inability to sacrifice. And yes, there's a lot. There's no one thing that dictates everything, and what applies to one person may not apply to another one. Like you use somebody here with a drinking problem that they can't sacrifice their drinking habit because that's what they do, and drinking is alcoholism is a negative thing for sure, but you can't necessarily control it. It's not something that, well, I don't drink to that extent, why can't he or she? It's not how it works. But we got to take these things into consideration. What is going on in their lives that has made them this way? Because usually, and not always, and I'm not a specialist on it, but usually for somebody to get there, something brought them to that place. And we can't just judge a person based off of the negativity we perceive from them. And that's another point that I was going to bring up as well, where we judge people based on the negative more than on the positive. So we talk about somebody here that has a drinking problem. People are usually going to see that person in a negative way and be less likely to interact with that person because of an issue that they have. Now, I know that a lot of people that have drinking issues say that they don't have issues and things like that, and that's a whole other subject. And I'm not here to judge anybody. That's not what I intend to do at all. But a lot of those people need help. And if we keep going with the negativity bias of, well, this person's an alcoholic, I don't want to be close to that person. It's not a good thing. And you say when you stare into the abyss, it stares back. Yes. People are afraid of what they see as well. They see somebody going through something hard. They don't want to go through that. They can see the pain that it causes to one person. Nobody wants to go through that. So you tend to stay away. But is that the right solution to deal with these things? To me, it just sounds like, oh, I'm just going to take this problem and push it over there. And then it comes back. Oh, no, I'm going to push it again. You're not helping the problem. You need to do something about it. And that's why I'm streaming today. I have anxiety issues that crept up on me from nowhere. Doing this stream stresses me way out for no reason. Because ultimately, what's the worst that happens? Somebody's gonna make fun of me on stream. I control the stream. I can just right click, person's gone. So, I've never been affected by online intimidation or bullying. Why would I let it affect me now? So that wasn't my issue. So what stresses me out? Well, people from work might see it. Well, why does that matter? I talk about this sort of thing at work all the time. Now I'm just broadening my horizons and pushing it everywhere else. So I get anxiety doing this. I could go with my brain's response of, no, just write a message say you're sick. Why? This is stream number 8. I don't have the luxury yet of having enough people to just say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. Because there's this thing, I promised people I would be here. And I like to stick with what I say. Yeah, sometimes it happens that things can happen where you can't go with what you said for whatever reason. But right now there's no reason. My stress is there. Yes, but I'm streaming for myself to heal myself and to help other people. So if I just start not doing it anymore, I just started something for no reason. I put a lot of time and effort into this project. Just to give you an example, I take notes about all the things I read, and I keep them here so I have something to look at so I don't sound too much like an idiot. But at the end of the day, all the notes I take are what I've read and from my experiences. So I'm willing to hear other people and share with their experiences so we can all learn and become better. So I can't let negativity bias be a thing in this stream. What I want is to try to be as neutral as possible with all the subjects that we're going to talk about. So, how do you overcome the negativity bias? Because we tend to have this thing where we dwell on the negative, which in turn turns into some dark thoughts. We may hurt our relationships. We will have difficulty to be optimistic on a lot of things, just in life in general. I could just be negative on a daily basis and say I'll never get that boat. Or I could go with, yeah, one day I'll get a boat and I'll live on it. I could look at the $10 million boat and say that's what I'm going to live on. Or I could manage my expectations and say I'm going to live on a boat and travel the world and go from there. Move forward, not dwell on the bad. So stop negative talking. So as an example of you make a mistake, instead of saying I shouldn't have done that, maybe we could use, well, maybe I could do something better next time, right? I think you are suffering, and to minimize suffering comes from your desire, and you can't desire the end. Desire as that is a desire. So to minimize it is to limit the gap between desire and attainment and just do. Yes, goal setting. Setting goals. And that's how I try to do a lot of things. Where I started, well, let's use a stream again as an example. I started streaming. If you go back on either YouTube or Twitch and look at the first video I've made, you take a look at it, look at the surrounding, look at the lighting, listen to the mic, you'll see a big difference. But I started with, when I can, I'll get small things and upgrade from there. And look at how I was talking to people and how I was moving around these things. That changed a lot, but small steps at a time, because I set small goals. So today my goal was I wanted to change the intro. I wanted it to look nicer. So I did. I changed it. Now it looks nicer. Doesn't look the way I want it. I could dwell on, oh, it's not perfect, I need to fix everything, it's terrible, and I don't want to do it anymore. Or I could just go with, yeah, that's an improvement. I like it. Let's carry on. So, focusing on desire only and saying this is what's going to happen when I start working on it, yes, maybe, but not right away. You gotta, small steps to get there. And we talked about all these things last week and sometime this week as well, where talking to yourself and goal setting and all these things are very, very important. So, I had something here. I'm trying to look for in my notes here. I don't know. Okay, it was just reframing situations sometimes. Right, so, like, well, I can use the stream as an example for that one as well. So I could say streaming is too hard because I'd like to have like 100 people chatting and all that, and focus on I don't have 100 people here. Or I could go with, yeah, streaming is not an easy thing because now I gotta try and get people to be interested in the stream. And of course not everybody's gonna be interested, especially on a Friday night, and I fully acknowledge that. It's a Friday night. What do people do on Friday nights? They go out to the movies with their families, their friends, or they go drinking, or whatever. They party, or they just relax, or watch a movie at home in their pajamas, or maybe naked on the couch. Whatever they want to do. No, not everybody wants to come and spend time here on the stream. So if I focus on just the negative, it's hard. Well, that's not going to work. I'm going to hate everything about streaming because I'm not reaching the goal that I want right away. Or I could go with, yeah, it's not going to be easy to stream, but why would I stop? So Friday nights are going to be the harder nights to work with. Okay. Well, I can use that to practice certain things, to practice my skills in switching the camera, looking at the camera a bit more, talking when there's less people, which means I need to talk more. I can't let the chat go on its own because there's not enough people to hold a conversation throughout. Which, it's not a big deal because I can hold a conversation with... Right now it says I have 3 people on stream. I don't know if my numbers are right. And that's enough for me to be able to hold a conversation. I'm having a great conversation with Liquid Sloth tonight. I'm enjoying this. So I could, instead of seeing the negative of I don't have the hundreds of people here, I go with I'm having an amazing conversation tonight. We're talking about something that's important, that's at a deeper level, while I'm printing a frog with a top hat. By the way, if you want to see it, look at that! Our little friendly frog has been printed. Let me try to take it out without ripping it off too much. And there you go. The print wasn't good. It was too squishy. So, that's our little top hat frog. I ripped its legs off. I guess my filament was just too moist. Moist. A lot of people don't like that word. But this, to me, is a failed print. What do I do with failed prints? I look at what's wrong with it, try to improve it, carry on. So I try to apply what I'm doing with the 3D printer, what I'm talking about on stream in real life. Yeah, this one didn't work out properly. Too bad. It's not the end of the world. We can carry on. Nobody's hurt. Wasted a bit of material. That's too bad. But I buy this material to be able to use it. I don't spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on it. I spend what I can afford without sacrificing time and money from my family, and I enjoy doing it. So why not? So another thing that might help somebody get away from negativity bias is establishing new patterns. Right? So how do you establish new patterns? You're lucky it can't speak. It would speak moistly. Yeah, so should I call the dead frog Justin or something? Justin has not survived the print. I just stole its hat. But establishing new patterns. How can we do that? So what do I mean by that? I mean, when something happens, try to do something else. So I get mad easily at small things, especially when I'm tired. You can ask my wife that. She's gonna say I'm the grumpiest person if I don't sleep, or I don't eat, or all these things. What can I do for that? Well, I don't know. I'm terrible at it. I still have a lot of work to do on myself. So some people say, what I was reading there, some people say like go for a walk, listen to upbeat music, read a good book. So, well, I could read a good book, or I could listen to one, things like that. Listening to music, easy enough. Going for a walk, healthy, so healthy body, healthy mind, that's a big thing. But when it's like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, maybe I don't want to do all these things. Well, when I get mad, even at work sometimes I do it. I'll go in the corner to myself and just go, Bubbles! Right? Just yell Bubbles as pissed off as you can. Who can be mad about that? Just give it a try right now. Just get really, really pissed off and say the word Bubbles. Like, how can you stay mad when something like that happens? I get it. It's not always the right place, the right time to do it. But try it next time you get mad, or even try it now. You'll probably get a smile on your face because it sounds ridiculous. So changing your mindset right away to something else when something happens could be a way of dealing with it. Now, is it perfect? No. But it's the small things, the small changes. We talk about goal setting and managing expectations and negativity bias. Well, small steps into improving yourself. And that's what we need to do as people, human beings. If we try to change everything from the start and try to become perfect right away, well, you're never going to get there. And just looking at perfection is an issue. Perfection does not exist. You cannot be perfect. That's normal. You're not going to be less loved. You're not going to be hated more. You're not perfect. You're a human being. You make mistakes. I make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It's not the end of the world. It's how we adapt to these things, how we adapt to the different situations that is important. So instead of focusing on the negative, try to savor the positive moments. And I was thinking about my wedding the other day, just because to me that's a very, very positive moment. I have a great memory of my evening. My family was there, I had a few friends. To me, that was a beautiful memory. So I savor that moment. I don't live in the past. I'm not going back to it. And I know it. But it's still there. It was a good time in my life. When I struggle with things, I can go back to that memory for a minute and just think about it. Or I could just be thinking about nothing and just petting my dog, and that's just a nice moment for me. I savor the small, happy moments as much as I can. I don't always do it. I need to do it more. How about yourselves? Like, hopefully you guys learned a little bit about negativity bias. And what do you do when you get mad, or when you start seeing like the negative in life, or the just having those dark thoughts, those dark intrusive thoughts? Like, and maybe you don't have any. Maybe you've already figured that part of your life. But how do you deal with it? Like, I'm curious. If somebody wants to put that in the chat, I'll just clean up this printer and try to reprint it because it's a quick print. But I'm enjoying our talk tonight. I tried to meditate. Well, that's something I tried recently. Recently. It's been a few months now. Where I've been meditating. I've been using the HemiSync feature. Not feature, but I don't know what to call it. But it's called HemiSync Meditation. You can find it on YouTube. I've been using that myself. And it works for me too. But I realize for me, I need to be in a lying down position, eyes closed, dark area with the sounds in my ears. I haven't managed to focus on the pure meditation without anything else yet. I still need to work on it, but if that works for you, that's great. I've read a lot of good things. There's a lot of positives and health benefits from meditation. So that's good. If that works for you, keep doing that. That's the way I see it, right? We can't be perfect at everything. A walk for 30 minutes is meditation. Really, a 30-minute walk is considered meditation. That's good to know. I try to walk a lot during a day. Like I got myself, I got myself this watch here, and apparently somebody texted me, and it says that, I walked 14,000 steps today. Well, good. So if walking is meditation, good. I had a meditation time. So, any form of time with yourself and your thoughts is meditation. That's good to know. To me, I never understood the concept of meditation then, because the way I understood it was you had to be in almost an altered state of mind. So, I meditate a lot more than I expected. But right now I'm just looking at what I need to change on the print, and if anybody else in the chat there would like to say what they do when they start thinking about negative thoughts, or just like having the negativity bias, when you just view the negative things that are happening. So like I was saying, you had an argument with somebody, now you're focusing on negative things about that person. What do you do to get out of that? I'm curious, like there's a few people in chat, if anybody's wants to share. I'm definitely not just curious, but I like to know other people's way of thinking, because I keep saying the same thing, where I want to become a better human being. I want to be a better person. I'm not perfect. I was just saying that, so for Liquid Sloth there, the question is the same. It's if there's anything else that, for different situations, like you say meditation for yourself, if you have other things that you do, or if somebody else in the chat has something else that they do, I'm curious about it. So Skyra says, I try to laugh at bad things or bad situations because it's getting ridiculous when shit that don't stop, and it's one thing after the other. I know it's probably not the best thing to do, but right now that's what it is. Well, that's the thing. It's how you're going to perceive it. It might be a terrible thing, but when you can only laugh about it to try and just be in a better state of mind, I do believe that if you put yourself in a better state of mind without necessarily pushing everything to the side where, no, this is terrible, this is just fucked, I'm going. Or you could be like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is this happening? Alright, let's do it again. If you go with that sort of mentality, I think there's positivity in it. Maybe I'm wrong. If anybody wants to correct me, please go ahead. I have no issues with being corrected. Alright, so this layer height, let's go with 8. No, I'm trying to sort that, my little frog friend here.
Hey, Dad.
Can
I eat this entire
So
lemon?
that is done. Now I'm going to slice it. Safety removable drive. Eject. Killian is just trying to get attention from all of you. So do you want him to eat that whole lemon? You don't have to answer him. He just really likes to get attention.
I'm asking if I can eat one.
No, you're asking for attention right now, where you could have waited till after we were done with the stream.
You've been streaming for like 2 hours, and you're probably not gonna stop anytime soon.
It doesn't matter how long I stream. You're just wanting attention right now. You know I stream every Monday. Don't ask me. Ask your mother. Just go ask your mother. You know I'm busy. You should know that. Not you should. You do know that. So see, this is this is the thing, right? I could have gotten mad at him to say, "Go away, I'm busy." You say, "Give him a hug and let him talk." Yeah, that could have been a better answer. But I know that all he wanted was to get some attention from the stream because he wants to do something like this at one point. And I will let him talk. But right now, all he had in his mind, or maybe that's just my own bias that's thinking, hey, that's all he wants. Right? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I did it wrong. And I'm willing to accept that. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I have this way of thinking that this is what I want to do, and he comes in and says, well, I want to eat a lemon. So why not let him have the attention? I don't know. Maybe that's what I should have done. And thank you for pointing it out. I'm willing to accept that. Maybe that wasn't the right thing that I did. Right? It's all about, the whole stream is about improving oneself, improving myself, and maybe helping other people improve who they are and what they do in life. You seem to have a good grasp on like the negativity bias in your life, and understanding things from your perspective seems pretty good. I'm having a great time having this discussion with you because you seem to have something that I didn't have. So I'm going to take this conversation and learn from it. So I'm going to do the same. Maybe next time he comes down, maybe I'll let him have a talk. If that's what he wants, good. Now he's getting the attention from myself, from being on stream and all that. And that could have been probably a better way of fixing the solution. Did it require fixing? Maybe not. Maybe it's just me going in my head to the negative. He just wants attention. He's going to ruin everything. Maybe that's not the right thing to do. Right? So I'm reprinting our little frog there. Definitely do it. I think the universe will pass you more messages you need if you listen more. And that's what I'm trying to do. I closed off myself from a lot of things. There's no such thing as luck when it's when preparation meets opportunity. So you're going with everything happens for a reason type of mentality from what I understand there, or maybe I'm understanding it wrong, which If that's a thing, I've missed a lot of opportunities in life, um, because it doesn't go the way I perceived it. So that's a thing I need to change. Stop trying to have everything the way you want it. So I was in the mindset, and I've always been in the mindset, you can only control what you can control, and that's not a whole lot. Right now, what can I control on this stream? Not a whole lot. I can control what I say. I can control my physical actions. I cannot control what my son does. I could be mad at him. I could bar him from coming downstairs and being on stream. Could tell my dog not to be here, but she's just lying down next to me. I can't move a lot because of that. But it's not in my control. So I need to just deal with it more, better. See, he's back. Do you want to talk with him? You just eating a lemon, or do you want to talk? Is it good? Try not to make a mess, please. You want a napkin? I don't have a napkin. So, you're gonna get stingy hands. Is it good?
It's a lemon.
Is it good?
Yes. It went everywhere.
Don't wipe your hands on your pants. We have a sink over there. You can go wash your hands. And so instead of looking at the direct action, look at the intention behind it. So that's a good way of seeing it. The intention behind the action usually means more than the action itself. That is true. If I look into all the things that I've noticed in the past, and I teach courses in the military, and if I concentrate only on the actions, I would get mad a lot. But I have to look at the intentions when I teach on those classes. So I should apply what I do at work for the people that I teach to my life in general. That is a very, very good thing you just said there. And all I can do is say thank you. Like, you just provided me with an answer that I never looked at properly. Because when people say, well, everything happens for a reason, what is the reason for me breaking my spine? A friend of mine said, well, it's so we could actually meet, because if you didn't break your spine, we wouldn't have met. And we're like, yeah, maybe. But, we probably could have met another way, like, would have been better. If I look at all the things in my life, really, I can find the negative things and focus on them and try to go, what's the explanation behind that? But if I look at the intentions of certain things, well, me breaking my spine, in French we say c'est l'intention qui compte. Yeah, actually that is pretty much what it means. But if I look back at me breaking my spine, if I look at the intention, was the intention to break my spine there? No, it was my movement. Was my movement properly done? No, I should have been paying more attention to what I did. What was my intention? Was to do a better job, quicker job? Okay, I have the right intention, but the bad execution. So ultimately, it was my own fault. I could dwell on it and just say I'm a terrible person, I broke my back, and now I can't do basic stuff. Or I could just be like, yeah, something bad happened. Why not use it for try to help people? Right? The mind is powerful. You can look at it with any filter. If you broke your spine, you met someone, it was meant to happen. But you can also filter it to say it's all random and it didn't matter. It's just a filter you have control over. And that is, as the above, so below again, you think into reality. That's an interesting statement. And I never looked at it that way, where it depends on the filter you put on things. Because, I don't know, finding $20 on the ground. What if I could look at it with well, that was random. Or I could look at it with, I deserve $20 from the universe today. Now, I didn't see it fall or anything like that. And that's a very positive way of viewing things. I like it. I'll try to apply that a bit more in my own life. I'm actually really happy I streamed tonight because you just gave me something I didn't think I'd get. I was thinking about, well, how am I gonna try to focus and help people move through the negativity bias when I struggle with it? And this is why I stream. Just that comment you said there. Wow. Like, thank you. That's all I can say. I wish I could say more, but that is just amazing that I managed to find that tonight. And on all my streams right now, I can apply that. The filter of I've helped somebody or including myself on every stream. Oh, there you go. A little bit of... Let's not focus on the negative. Apparently my printer overheated. That's an easy fix. We restart it and carry on. So, for if anybody's new to the stream, by the way, don't forget to hit that follow and that like button and all that. I'm both on Twitch and YouTube right now, and every time somebody hits that follow button or that subscribe, but whatever wording that either or use actually helps me out a lot. The more views I get, the more support I get, the more I can do, the more I can talk about things, the more I can print stuff. So I really appreciate if anybody like helps me out with that. And please don't ever be afraid to input your comments in there, because tonight is the best example of anybody can help anybody out. I'm here trying to help people. I'm getting help just by different points of views, because that's how we grow as people. We have to talk about all sorts of things, and I'm open to talk about anything really, as long as the discussion for me is held in a polite way. So we can have different views, different opinions about many things, and still have a civil discussions. We can even be friends and have different opinions, and that is a normal thing and a natural thing. And I want to continue with that, but just grow and expand my mind and my understanding of the world. So hopefully people joining me are in a similar state of mind where they just want to understand what's going on everywhere else. Because what I see in the world is a lot of divide in everything. People are divided thinking about, well, I'm left or right in politics. Oh, I believe in this, I don't believe in that. We're just dividing everybody. Or that's how it seems to me. And I hate that. The Tower of Babel. That's exactly what I perceive in the world right now. Everybody is being divided. We're divided into every type of ideology. It's on the back of the dollar? Really? Is that the tower in the back of the... Which dollar? The Canadian dollar? The American dollar? Let me go look that up. Switch the camera. What dollar is it? Let's just... Bill... I'm curious about that now. That's the actual dollar. No, that's the Tower of Babel. American dollar. I'm just gonna write that. Look at a picture of it. So you're talking about like the pyramid type of well, of course I'm gonna take it figuratively and just go look at it. This was supposed to be on this page because I was looking at it for real. I see a pyramid on there, and then on the other side it's this dude's face. I'm sorry, I'm not sure which president is which. I'm Canadian, by the way, so no offense to that. Different type of money. Our money looks like Monopoly money apparently, and I kind of have to admit that, yeah, that's kind of true. But yes, I do find that symbology is very present in a lot of American things, and that's not a bad thing. Symbology is actually important for many things. With the all-seeing, it's the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. Yeah. But like I was saying, like we have this, or what I perceive to be a huge divide, and we have it everywhere. And we have it because education that we have is just so different than what we had back whenever. Now we have access to tons of information on the internet. Like I can look at your dollar without having to go find one, and look at all the symbols and stuff like that, and we could talk about that dollar for days just by looking at what we see. So it's a different education that we have compared to 50, 60, 100 years ago, even 10 years ago. Internet was different than this. So we have a huge divide in people, and you say I think there should be division, but that's a topic that could last for hours, and we'll have to talk about that another time. Hopefully you'll come back on the stream and we'll talk again on another time, because see, I'm for a certain amount of divide, but not to the extent that we are today. As we believe we are all one consciousness, and division is what creates humankind. I'm pantheist. Pantheist? Do I say it right? Do I pronounce it right? I believe in all religions to an extent. So that's extremely, like, I'm glad that we were talking, because I've never heard of that theist, the pantheist. I've never heard of the believing in all religions to a certain extent, with the thinking of one consciousness and with an amount of division. That's like, I do want to talk more about that at one point. Maybe not tonight, like you said. Like I wanted to say is that, I try to keep my streams small, because having too much information at once is not good either. But I do want to have discussions like these, like what you're talking about there sounds really interesting to me. So we'll have to have that talk at one point, if you're up for it and willing. Because I like understanding things that goes on in the world. I like seeing the other person's point of view. I might not agree with the person, but it's not about an agreement with everything. It's just about a better understanding. Because now if I understand why a person has a point of view that differs from mine, I can understand better how to handle my own views of certain things. Because I could just go with the, I'm Canadian, we have healthcare, we're better. Well, that's not the only thing, the only difference from other countries. Like, we look at the media right now that's going on, what's happening in the United States. There's a huge divide. People are overeating, and people are pro-Trump and pro this and against that. But I don't live there. All I see is the media. And I don't want to just rely on pure media. I want actual experience from people. I have a lot to say about sorry about that. I have a lot to say about healthcare for another time as well. Well, there you go. See, we could have huge discussions about many different subjects, and that's great. I want to hear those discussions. I want to talk about it. Whether I agree with you or not on everything, maybe not, but that's not the point of it. It's understanding each other, not to an agreement level, but to get just an understanding of each other is important. So, one thing before I let everybody go there, we didn't manage to print our frog properly tonight. Jerry here, I don't know what his name was, but stepbrother, help! I'm stuck too. Thanks for following. You're following here at the wrong time, sadly. But unless you watch the whole stream, I'm really. If I'm a communist. What do you mean if I'm a communist? I don't think I'm a communist. I don't fall into that way of thinking. I'm trying to understand people. I don't feel a communist. We'll have a discussion at a later time. Right now what I'm doing is I'm just reprinting the frog, and I'm going to let everybody go on that. Like I said, I like the smaller streams so we can hold discussions about certain things at a smaller level. And think about it throughout the night. So one thing that I do like to do at the end of my streams is take a moment to take a breath. A nice breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and just take a moment to relax yourself as much as you can. We have time right now. Everything's okay. And just look at what happened today and be grateful for one thing that happened today. And tonight, I'm grateful for everybody that joined the stream. thank you for being here. Thank you for having this discussion with me. And I'll be back on Monday, and we'll hold another discussion. Can't wait to talk with you guys. Okay, so have a great night, and we'll talk again later. Good night, everyone.